In this tutorial, we're going to achieve three things. I want you to set up your profile in Zoom. I want you to set up your personal meeting space in Zoom. You're going to have a personal meeting ID and a personal meeting link. And then I want to have you look at some of the basic settings for Zoom. And this is all in preparation for you to be able to host your first meeting and schedule your first meeting, but we want to get these settings and the profile and everything done first. So I'm going to assume that you can get to the page that I'm on now. This is the My VHCC portal page, and I'm going to click on Zoom. And then once I come to this landing page for Zoom, I want to go to Settings. When you click on Settings, the first page you're going to come to is the Meetings page, which shows your upcoming meetings and all of this stuff. We're going to come back and look at this in a future tutorial. Where I want you to go right now is to your profile. So on the left-hand side, the very first link is Profile. You'll see that my profile is already set up. And the first step in setting up your profile is I want you to add a profile picture. This is an important step because when you mute your video, your picture is what shows up instead of the live video. And I'll be honest, most of the time when I'm on a Zoom conference with a whole bunch of people, I do not use live video. I let this picture be the representation for me when I'm on these conferences. And I'll be honest too to say a lot of times I'm on a conference, I may be at home in a hoodie and a pair of blue jeans, and it's not video I want to share. And so I use this picture in place of my live video a lot. So I think it's a good idea to go ahead and get this set up. The way you can do that is they provide you a link to change the picture, and you can upload a photo from your computer. Once the photo is there, you can crop it by adjusting the square. All you have to do is grab these handles and you can adjust the square however you want it. Once you've got this the way you want it to be, then you can go ahead and click Save, and it'll set it as your profile picture. I've already got mine set up, so I'm going to go ahead and just click Cancel on this so as not to change it. The next thing I need you to change in your profile is this profile information. And so if you'll come over to the right hand side, you can click Edit. When my account was first set up, my name was set up with my legal name, so it said Kenneth Fairbanks. Nobody calls me Kenneth. So I very quickly wanted to change that to say Ken Fairbanks. And once you change this and you've saved it, it will save your display name so that it matches what you put in there. And so now when I join a conference, it comes up as Ken Fairbanks. Then I added my phone number, I added my job title, I added Virginia Highlands Community College and the location. You can choose how much of this information you want to add. You don't have to put all of that in there. I just did it as a convenience for folks. If I'm on a conference with them, they can kind of see some basic information about who I am. Once you get this filled out, all you have to do is click Save Changes here at the bottom. The next thing on this page I want you to take a look at is the personal meeting ID. One of the most powerful features in Zoom that I use all the time is this personal meeting room that they give you. And the room is tied to this ID and a personal meeting link that you can set up and customize yourself. You will notice that my personal meeting ID is actually my phone number here on campus. And I did that on purpose. The number one reason is because I can remember that number. I know what my phone number here is on campus. And I'll say right now that just because it's my phone number on campus, it is in no way linked to that number. It is just a number that I think I can remember and that I think other people can remember. So if you want to edit the number that is here for your personal meeting ID, all you have to do is click Edit on the right hand side, and it will let you enter a personal meeting ID that works for you. It does have to be a unique ID, another reason why the phone number works so well, but you can go ahead and enter in any set of numbers that will work for this personal meeting ID. If the numbers don't work, it'll give you a message and tell you. Once you've set this personal meeting ID up, and again, I recommend the phone number. I think that works really well. Click Save Changes. And you may want to check this box for use the personal meeting ID for instant meetings. I don't remember if that was on by default, but if it's not, go ahead and check it. And then click Save Changes. Then the personal link is a really nice customization that you can do. And this is the link that I use with most people. If they want to join me in a Zoom conference, I send them this link. It's really easy for me because, again, it's easy to remember. The K Fairbanks matches the front of my email. So my email here at the college is kfairbanks@vhcc.edu. So I just sent my meeting ID to K Fairbanks. I do know that there are some faculty and folks who are already using Zoom who have chosen some very unique meeting IDs, or personal links. So you don't have to use, K Fairbanks or J Smith or whatever you're using. You can set it to something else if that's what you want to do. To do that, all you have to do is click Customize over here on the right-hand side. You can fill it in. They give you some parameters around the length and what characters you can use, but this is the link that I use 99% of the time when I'm sending a link out to folks to join me in a meeting. I'm using my personal meeting room and I'm using this personal link. Once you're done, all you have to do is click Save Changes. Once you've set the profile photo, the personal meeting ID, and the personal link, that's about all you really have to set up on this page. You will notice that there is a calendar and contact integration option that allows you to integrate Zoom into your Outlook calendar and your contacts. This is an advanced option. I'm not going to go over how to do this in this tutorial, but there is an option available for providing you with some integration like that. Once you have this set up, the next place that I want you to go is I want you to go to Settings. Now, if you look at the settings, there are a lot of settings in Zoom. And my rule of thumb, especially for those of you starting out, you do not need to scroll through and look at every one of these. Just know that you have a lot of control over how Zoom works for you. And so I would take a look at maybe the first 10 or so, especially on the meetings. I always turn the host video off. I don't want meetings to start with host video on. I do the same with participants. Again, people don't like to be surprised and have their video turned on as soon as they enter the meeting space. So I leave those turned off. I do set the audio type to telephone and computer audio. I think that's the default, but I'm not sure. And then these two right here are real important to me, and I don't remember how they defaulted, but I turn these on. The use personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. Again, 99% of the time, that's what I use. And the use personal meeting ID when starting an instant meeting. So I would make sure these two settings are turned on. I don't require passwords. I don't require authentication. The only people who are going to get into a meeting with you are people that you share your link with. And so to me, setting up all sorts of authentication and passwords is not all that important. But again, depending on the meeting that you're doing, it might be important to you. So if you're a nursing instructor and you're working with nurses and doing some sort of a conference with a nursing student, you may want to, make sure that meeting's a little more private, for HIPAA reasons if you're having discussions about their clinicals. There's reasons for turning these things on, but they're defaulted to off, and I would leave them off unless you have an overriding reason for turning them on. And that's all I'm going to say about settings. You can scroll down through here and look at all these settings and make adjustments if you want. But again, the defaults are good for starting. You'll also see that there are settings for recordings. There are settings for the telephone side of things. Again, I think the defaults on these are just fine. I don't think you have to spend a lot of time looking at those, but I do want you to know that they're out there and that there is some customization that you can do if you desire. That concludes what I want to go over in this particular tutorial. Now it's your turn. I want you to take the information from this tutorial and I want you to go out, set up your profile, set up your personal meeting ID, Set up your personal meeting link. Take a look at those, those first settings that deal with meetings, and make sure that you've got, the first 10 or so settings look like they're set about how you would want them to be. And then know the defaults are all pretty good and that you can come back and adjust those later if you need to. But let's go in and get all that basic stuff set up so that you're ready to go with scheduling a meeting and hosting a meeting.